Did you ever buy something that caused you pain and suffering? I'm not talking about that engagement ring or bedroom set you bought for your psycho girlfriend. You know who you are. As always, we're talking horses. We might need to do that again because I screwed up. Welcome back. As always, big thank you for spending a few minutes with us. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. And if you can, go ahead and subscribe. So we did a previous video called 4 Tips for Buying a Horse. In this video, I'm going to talk through a few horses that I regret buying and why I regretted buying them. So first and foremost, we're going to start with Sugar. So this mare was an 8-year-old flea-bitten gray. The first problem with this mare was that I named her after a stripper, and so it seemed like it was bound to go poorly. So I bought her when she was 8, again, $300. Nobody had really done much with her, and she was pretty gentle on the ground, but as soon as you put a saddle on her, she turned into an outlaw. So I worked on her for an entire summer, and she tried to run me off every fence post we passed. Didn't matter how many circles we loped, how many mountains we climbed, or how much groundwork we did. She had some screws loose. So, and working with other horses, full disclosure, is quite a bit more challenging. And to be honest, my skill level at the time was no match for this mare. So that's regret number 1. Number 2 is Judy. So this mare was an own daughter of Little Lena's Legend that I picked up for $500. She was in foal to a paint horse stud, and the gentleman I bought her from actually had a breed to a son of Peppy Sand Badger that he let me have as well. Now, this is actually one of my favorite horses I've ever owned, and I owned her for a long time. But my regret here was that my wife was not totally on the same page when I bought her, and it caused some contention in our house. Now, in the end, I think this mare was worth it, but I should have made sure my sweet wife was on board before pulling the trigger. So, that's number 2. Number 3 is Rhonda the Roan. I actually wrote a little haiku for all of you on this. Rhonda, dear Rhonda, you sure ain't no Honda, not reliable.
Garth, that was a haiku.
This mare was even crazier than the paint, and literally every time she farted, she would spook herself into a buck. Now, unlike Sugar, this mare did get way better with time, and by the end of my time with this mare, she could drag calves, and the best part about her was that she could travel. She could just flat out walk. So this horse also taught me how to keep my seat. Honestly, my biggest regret with this mare was that I couldn't keep her longer. I was in college at the time. The only way I could afford to keep doing the horse deal was to ride one for a few months and then sell them off. So I sold this mare to a guy that didn't get along with her at all. He thought he was a good rider. He really wasn't. And she reverted back to her old ways. So again, the biggest problem here was that I wasn't in a financial position to train this mare for as long as she needed. Then I sold her to a guy that didn't have the skill level to handle her. So, however, she did end up being one of the most important horses that I ever bought because she taught me how to keep a seat on a bucking horse. Now, number 4, the last one. This was a Firewater bred mare. I was really hasty to buy her because she was super pretty. I had a few $1,000s burning a hole in my pocket. And if you remember in a previous video where I talked about not buying for color, this horse is the one that taught me that rule. I started this mare and put about 90 days on her, and I just didn't like her. I didn't like the way her mind worked. She was really explosive, and frankly, she needed more time and miles than I was willing to give her. I had better horses in my barn and others that I enjoyed working with a lot more. They moved better. They made progress faster. So I ended up dumping this mare for a significant loss to a guy that was willing to put the time into her. He had a young son that was eager to prove himself, and so it worked out. Nowadays, I think what I really value most is taking years to help a horse reach its potential, and a lot of my focus is on making good horses for my kids. So because of that, there are certain things that I don't tolerate. If a horse has no sense of self-preservation, if they are really explosive and even violent when they're scared, or they're too hard on the other horses in my herd, these are all things that I stay away from. So quick recap, a few questions I would ask to avoid these same regrets. Number one, is the time to value there? Or in other words, how much time will I need to invest in order to get this horse where I need them to be? Number two, is my spouse or significant other on board? Can they support me as I train this horse? Number three, am I in a financial position to make this horse what they need to be? And lastly, is this horse really what I want? And do they match the profile of what I'm looking for in my program? So I hope this is helpful to you and you can avoid some of these same mistakes. Thank you all for watching. Happy riding. Adios.